Welcome into TFW Live, the best kept secret in fantasy football, where we keep that week one feeling going all year long. This is episode 359. We're going to be giving you all of the lineup advice, the news and notes from around the NFL coming into the week 12 matchup. But first, I want to let you know that support for TFW Live is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. You can join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TFWMAN over at manscaped.com. TFW Man for 20% off free shipping or 20% off and free shipping. How about that? Even better. What is going on with you, Whisper Nation? I am Austin Sear. Very happy to be with you. Riders Chambers, George in the chat, Lady V coming in. Great to be with you all here this Friday evening, a day after Thanksgiving. Hope everybody here had the holiday that they were looking for. What's up, Albert? Good to be with you here. A lot of gratitude over to our members on YouTube who support the show through a monthly subscription. Riders Chambers, who's here in the chat, as well as Pizza Belly, Hanimal, Gus Ramos, Don Caples, Bailey Ziegler, Nick, Brett Zabo, John Credit, Eric Lorenzen, Donnie Tubbs, and Jersey J. Extra special shout out over to Donnie Tubbs, who's getting married. Just got married here this week. Congratulations. So excited for all that you guys have coming up ahead. If you would like to join our growing list of YouTube members here on TFW, click join next to the video now. And if you love fantasy football and would enjoy joining a community where you know that you belong, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Trying to grow just one more subscriber today. Could be you. And if you are new to the show or you are a familiar voice, let us know where you're coming in from. We'll shout you out here on the show. Now, before we jump into these questions, I see they are coming on in. We're going to be touching in on all of the news and notes. I'm going to get to your questions, all of them, before the end of the show. If they are relevant to the topic at hand, I'm going to do my best job of plugging them in right then and there. Some questions might get delayed till the end of the program for me to answer them, to keep it here in flow with y'all. But keep them coming. And if you are in a rush, though, and you got to get that question answered, hit us with a super chat. That'll bump you up to the top. I'll try to get you in there right away. So we got Bush TVs, George coming in. We're going to do a little recap of the games yesterday, but I'm going to go ahead and touch in on some of these first off questions before we get on over to the recap. Starting off with the Lions and the Bills. All right, let's see here. We got George, sit one, Cordell Patterson, Samaje Perine, Christian Watson, thanks. Right off the bat, I'm leaning Cordell Patterson. I'm not vibing the Atlanta Falcons offense. They've got a few different backs. They're working already. Not a bad start by any means, but I like Christian Watson as the number one receiver for Aaron Rodgers moving forward. And Samaje Perine should be in for a really good spot with Mixon officially out with that concussion. Would I drop Raheem Mostert for James Robinson in a PPR, Writers asks? I would rather have James Robinson over Raheem Mostert. Yes, James Robinson looks to be on the uptick. Raheem Mostert, not the same trajectory as James Robinson as of right now. He's banged up. Jeff Wilson's doing good. Raheem Mostert just had the team that he's on acquire somebody, and that dude is above him. Versus James Robinson was acquired by a squad who actually wants him now over there. So yeah, I'm going to lean James Robinson here rest of season. Bush TVs need to know who to start. 2 running backs and 1 flex. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Travis Etienne, or Higgins. Non-PPR. I would be sitting T. Higgins in this, and it's pretty easy, especially in a standard non-PPR league. ETN, Chubb, JT all got a lot of arrows pointing up. Higgins is great, but Jamar Chase is probably going to be coming back. And even if Jamar Chase wasn't coming back, I'm going to be starting ETN, Chubb, and Jonathan Taylor ahead of Mr. Higgins. Well, I'm sorry. You got me today, Flea. All right. Moving on to our recap from yesterday, where we had the Buffalo Bills coming into the Detroit Lions. And the Bills squeaked this one out, got it done, but just needed every last second there to make it happen. I think Josh Allen's going to be recovering from his elbow. I think he got over the worst of it in these last 2 weeks, but we still saw some just not Josh Allen fully doing Josh Allen things yet on this. So 253 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and then those 10 carries for 78 rushing yards. You really like to see that. Goff on the other side, he did all right there with 240 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, about what you would expect, not hurting you, but not doing you any major favors. Running back position, Devin Singletary led the way, a little bit underwhelming, just with those 8.5 point PPR format. 14 carries, 72 yards. He did lead the way ahead of James Cook. 2 carries, 4 yards, caught 2 of the 5 targets for 14. A little bit disappointing on James Cook performance after having a really nice week 11. We got the touchdown leader in the NFL, Jamal Williams, having his biggest run of the year. 66 yards total, 1 touchdown on like a 51-yard run. I saw a stat on Jamal Williams' touchdowns this year. It was hilarious. It was like 1-yard touchdown, 1-yard touchdown, 1-yard touchdown, 2-yard touchdown, 1-yard touchdown, 1-yard touchdown, 12-yard touchdown, 51-yard touchdown. It was fantastic. DeAndre Swift continues to climb back and struggles in the process. 5 carries, 19 yards. He got that 2-point conversion. Did catch 4 passes, which helped you out in a PPR day, but 8.3 and half-point PPR. It's not a great day on Thanksgiving for DeAndre Swift rosters. Hopefully he can get it into gear moving through the season as playoffs approach. Wide receiver action was going. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions side has been recovering from that ankle injury, looking pretty good. Caught 9 of the 10 targets, 122 yards and a touchdown. They went to him in some pivotal situations as well, looking like a piece. Nobody else super impressive. Chark had that touchdown, but just 16 yards behind it. Khalif Raymond, 4 catches, 6 targets, 35 yards. And on the other side of the ball, the Bills, Isaiah McKenzie leading the way. 2 carries, 7 yards, 6 catches on 10 targets, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 8 catches, 77 yards, pulled in the tutty. Gabe Davis was a bit disappointing for you. Didn't really have a lot until the end and still just finished with 38 yards total. 4 catches on 5 total targets. All right. So then moving on to the next game of the day, the New York Jersey Jays, New York Giants going into Dallas. It was a good match. Came out with the Dallas Cowboys just clicking on all cylinders. A little disappointed in my Bill Maher kicker start there. Just 4 extra points. No field goals. But the Dallas Cowboys offense is moving pretty well. Dak Prescott didn't blow you away with his 261 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, a couple of interceptions there as well. But the team overall got it done. Daniel Jones on the other side real quick. Modest, 228 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 carries, 14 yards. Not a ton on this Thanksgiving day. Running backs here. Ezekiel Elliott, I think, had one of his best days of the season there. 16 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Pollard taking a bit of a step back. 18 carries, 60 yards. Caught both of his targets, but just for 1 yard. I like Pollard when he's feeling fresh. I think we're seeing that Pollard might not be able to be a full bell cow. You want him to be taking rests and to have a complementary role to keep his efficiency up. On the other side of the rock, Saquon Barkley, 11 carries for just 39 yards. He did get that touchdown, though, so that was pretty nice. Caught 4 passes on 6 targets as well for 13 yards. Wide receiver side of the rock, CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches, on 11 targets total, 106 yards. That was pretty nice for CeeDee Lamb. No end zone appearances after that toe tapper was overturned. Michael Gallup, 63 yards on 5 catches, 8 targets total. You know, it's been a bit of a Russian roulette game when it comes to receivers on the Giants side of the ball. Richie James this time came out ahead with the targets and the receptions. 6 targets, 5 catches, 41 yards, and a tutty. Darius Slayton, big playability. He was so close to falling in the end zone on that one. Wish he did for my listener league, but did not. 63 yards, 6 targets, 3 catches total there. And Dalton Schultz, man, nice. If you got Dalton Schultz going, we've been waiting for a performance like him. 31 yards, 2 touchdowns there. Nothing really impressive on the Giants side of the ball at the tight end position. Moving over to the final game of Thanksgiving, we had the Minnesota Vikings get another win on the board against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. We'll start on the Patriots side of the ball, where Mac Jones had a career high 382 yards, a couple of touchdown passes on there. Kirk Cousins did well also on the other side, 299 yards, 30 out of 37 on the completions. Nice percentage. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. You got it done for the Vikings. You got it done for your fantasy team. Dalvin Cook, can't say the same story. Lead running back for the Minnesota Vikings, 22 carries, 42 yards. Hoorah. 4 catches on 5 targets for just 14 yards, 7.6 fantasy points, and half-point PPR. You're hoping to see more of that. Like we saw out of Ramondre Stevenson, who was not starting the game with Damian Harris getting the surprise nod, but Damian Harris did go down and was seen on crutches. Ramondre Stevenson came in, had all of the work after that. 7 carries, 36 yards, 9 receptions there on 10 targets total, 76 yards added through the air. Madison didn't do anything here. Taking a quick look at the wide receivers, Justin Jefferson getting it done. 9 catches on 11 targets, 139 yards and a tutty. Nelson Aguilar, back to the Russian roulette. The Patriots wide receivers are playing a little bit of that game too. This time it was Aguilar leading the way, fantasy points wise, with 65 yards and a touchdown, 8 targets, 6 catches. Devontae Parker led the team in yards with 80. And Jacoby Myers, who just always hangs around there, 3 catches on 4 targets for 62 yards. Hunter Henry caught that touchdown along with 63 yards. TJ Hawkinson has been a nice piece for the Minnesota Vikings after they acquired him from Detroit. He caught 5 passes on 6 targets, 43 yards and a touchdown to get you over that double-digit mark in all formats. And that was Thanksgiving Day. I hope you had gotten what you needed out of Thanksgiving Day. Let me know if you had any action yesterday, if you were gotten Amon-Ra St. Brown rolling, or any other good pieces. What's up, Emmanuel? Good to have you here. Do I like Dameon Pierce or Isaiah Pacheco in Standard League? Also, do you like DK Metcalf, Elijah Mitchell, or Deontay Foreman in full point PPR? Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for joining the show. Thanks for the question. I am assuming this is this week. I'm going to lean Isaiah Pacheco ahead of Dameon Pierce. It's not by a lot. I'm just excited, if I'm honest. They're really close. It's a near coin toss. If you're feeling strong about Pierce or Pacheco, I'd say go with your preference. For me, it would be Pacheco. I like the offense that he plays on. He should get byproduct points simply from being in an opportunity and high scoring situation. Yes, Jerick McKinnon is still over there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not. So they're going to be splitting the load, but Dameon Pierce really is not. Yeah, Rex Burkhead might sneak in there and poach something for you. So you do need to be aware of that. But we saw Davis Mills and the Texans before the bye just lump it down play after play. And that's the risk you run starting good players on bad teams. Like if that team is just misfiring, it's going to be 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. Defense is going to know what the best player is trying to do. That would be Dameon Pierce for the Texans. And you just end up having a super disappointing day, as where Pacheco cannot be schemed in that way. There's so many weapons for the Chiefs. It's just it's just a different dynamic. So I like Pacheco a little bit more in Standard League here. On the full point PPR, DK Metcalf, Elijah Mitchell, Deonta Foreman. Now pay attention to Deonta Foreman. He was a surprise scratch on Wednesday. Got to check the updates. I haven't seen one. We're going to be getting into the news and notes here in just a second. But Deonta Foreman, we need an update. Where's his status at for Sunday's game? If he's out, you're obviously going Mitchell and DK. Let's say Deonta Foreman is in. I'm going to lean DK Metcalf and Deonta Foreman. Elijah Mitchell has been getting, I think you're pretty happy with the workload Elijah Mitchell's been rocking after CMC was acquired by the 49ers. I think some people were probably panicking. Elijah Mitchell is an RB3 for you. He's a flex play. He does bring some upside to the table. But DK Metcalf could be a vein. He's got all the skill sets. And Deontay Foreman, when he's been playing minus that one game, has just been a boss. So I really like what you should expect there out of Deontay Foreman should he play. But we got to stay tuned. Like, that's a real thing. So we're going to work through the news and notes now and see where we can figure some things out. Keep sending your questions my way. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Greg Dortch is questionable for week 12, dealing with a thumb. Kingsbury said that Dortch will be a game-time decision after not practicing this week. He led the team in week 11 receiving, but, we got to pay attention and see what comes up. Our next show is going to be Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, an hour and a half before kickoff, no matter where you're streaming in from. So we got some real bits of news to maintain and follow along with. So we'll have some updates for those for Sunday. So make sure you're liked and subscribed and getting the most up-to-date information to set your lineups ahead of kickoff on Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. What's up, Albert? Geno Smith or Kyler Murray this week? I'm leaning Geno Smith, man. Like, Kyler Murray looks pretty good. He looks like he's healthy. He's going to play. He has more upside when all things are square, but I like the Seahawks coming out of the bye. Geno Smith's, I think, like the number 7 or 8 quarterback total right now, even after the bye, and has looked good. His weapons should be healthy. It's close for me, but slight nod to Geno. Rondale Moore is not going to play. That's disappointing. He's fun to watch. Game day decision there again on Greg Dortch, so something to keep in mind. Let's get to the Kyler Murray bit of news here. Murray practiced in full this week and should be started as a quarterback one with few reservations. He ultimately winds up missing 2 weeks with this hamstring issue. It sounds like he'll have both Rondale Moore and DeAndre Hopkins active for the first time this season. Well, we got to check on that last bit regarding Rondale Moore. But Kyler Murray is going to be coming back in. I'm not feeling as optimistic as maybe this headline is, where they say he should be started as a quarterback one with few reservations. I think the spirit in Arizona is off. It's hard for me to trust Arizona players because I don't trust this Arizona team right now. I do trust Marquise Brown is going to play in week 12, and that's just awesome from a football perspective. It should be good for your fantasy team too. He'll need to be activated off the injury reserve, but this means that the Cardinals will have both Brown and DeAndre Hopkins for the first time all season, week 12. Kyler Murray's stock goes up a bit with this update. That's true. So that's something fun to pay attention to. And I really hope it plays. Just as an Arizona fan, I want to see all of this come together and make a late season run. What up, Stephen Joe? Need help. Start 2. David Montgomery, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Isaiah Pacheco, half-point PPR. Fire up David Montgomery. Feel really good about David Montgomery with all of the injuries to Khalif Herbert. And, David Montgomery is a good running back. Isaiah Pacheco gets a bump big time for me with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being out. And he's good. And he looked good the last 2 weeks as well. Juju, right now, even if he does play, and it looks like he will, is probably the odd man out for me. I like Juju. I just like Montgomery and Pacheco more. What's up, Jersey J? Good to see you, man. It's that Swift to start White. Will all this pay off? I think it will, man. We just went over the recap, and DeAndre Swift, a bit of a disappointing day to get that tutty, but disappointing day still from a yardage and efficiency perspective. Fun playing you this week. I love the team name, trying to ruin my dreams. Yeah, I got to win out. My team has turned a bit of a corner. I think I'm in a decent position, but Jersey J is trying to get in the way of any late season playoff hopes for me. I got to win out, and he is my opponent this week. What's his question? Should I grab Drake, drop Cordell Patterson, and start him over Olave full point PPR flex spot? I wouldn't. I would keep rocking with Olave, man. He's the number 1. He looks really good. He's holding it down. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Steven following up. Also have Hollywood, but worried about the pitch count. Yeah, I hear you on that point. I would, if you can avoid starting Hollywood Brown until we get a week of watching him before you play him, that's what I would advise for sure. All right. Moving on from the Arizona Cardinals over to the Atlanta Falcons. Where Caleb Huntley, who's been dealing with an ankle injury, is questionable week 12 against the Commanders. He's been demoted to RB3 duties with Cordell Patterson back in the fold, but still pitches in for a few carries every week. You're fading Caleb Huntley. He's not really in the conversation for you. Neither is Frank Darby. Kyle Pitts, we already knew, but he's on the injured reserve with the knee injury. They write, Pitts is expected to be out for an indefinite amount of time after an MRI on Monday revealed a torn MCL. That's likely to require surgery. Now on injured reserve, he's required to miss at least 4 games, but there's a chance his absence extends beyond the 4-game minimum. I think he is just done. The spirit, again, in Atlanta, and specifically with Kyle Pitts, is just off. And I don't know why Kyle Pitts would rush back. Bummer on this one. Moving down, let's see, have any other updates outside of Kyle Pitts? Just a recap from Algiers. 8 rushes for 55 yards last week. Further complicating the Cordell Patterson start. Loading up the Baltimore Ravens start here. Forgot to put Njoku in our matchup, bro. Ugh, you might get lucky there, Austin. All right, I'll take it. What do you have? He said, I had the Lions tight end, drank beer, and forgot. Thank you. Njoku or Foster Moreau this week? I want to go to Njoku. I've got him in our league of record. I got Njoku and Kyle Pitts in my league of record. How nice that once was so many weeks ago. Hoping Njoku comes back, but we don't yet know if he is going to be on that pitch count. We haven't gotten a clear update if his workload is primed to increase week 12. It was capped week 11. Foster Moreau would presumably be getting more action. You're taking Njoku if all things are equal, but Moreau might have the health and the workload bump over Njoku. So I'm going to wait and see if we get some more information. As of right now, I hate to say I'd probably lean Moreau. I'm hoping we get a little positive news between now and Sunday, though, to shift it over to Njoku. We'll see. Speaking of tight ends, Isaiah Likely is questionable for week 12 against the Jaguars with the ankle injury. Likely was added to the injury report on Friday. He got in limited session. Andrews is healthy for week 11. With Mark Andrews healthy for week 11, Likely reverted to tight end 2 duties and saw just 3 targets. I'm sad about Isaiah Likely. I was hoping I could get a little bit more juice out of him in the listener league. And it doesn't look like I'm going to. So moving on to Devin Duvernay, whose hamstring is making him questionable for week 12. He was presumed to be that wide receiver 1 for the Ravens. Now it might be Demarcus Robinson. He's also got a hip. We'll see in a second. I'm probably fading most of these wide receivers from Baltimore, minus Mark Andrews, who's of course a tight end, but plays a wide receiver. It's just hard to predict right now. Like Demarcus Robinson balled out, 9 catches, 9 targets, like over 100 yards in the last action, but his hip is now making him questionable week 12 against the Jaguars. And this was a surprise. He didn't practice on Thanksgiving Day. Wasn't listed on the injury report on Wednesday. So the sudden absence is a bit concerning. I agree. After returning a full session to close the week, he should be able to suit up on Sunday, though. So we don't really know. I thought he had some juice coming in, but then the surprise hip thing. If I can go somewhere else besides Demarcus Robinson, I probably would. Yeah. Likely is a great stash if I got the spot. Duvernay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Gus Edwards, knee and hamstring. He's questionable week 12 against the Jaguars. He missed last week because of the pair of the injuries. Another Russian roulette situation here. Kenyon Drake's been doing good when he gets opportunities, but as we know, John Harbaugh loves to get a lot of running backs opportunities, which takes away opportunities from your fantasy starters. Do I think Kieran Williams can be a league winner? Probably not. I don't think so. I think that the Rams are just down. I think he's undersized. He's probably not going to be that dude. There's a chance. There's certainly a chance like you get a new running back that we haven't seen play. The whole team the team is so talented and they got a great coach. They got a great system, but there's not a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of injuries. They're coming off a Super Bowl win. I'm not making a big bet on him being a league winner. All right. Love seeing Lamar Jackson come off the injury report. He's going to play against the Jaguars. There we go. All right. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers, everyone's favorite NFC South team. Ian Thomas, tight end. He's questionable for week 12. Ooh, everyone freak out real quick. Nah, just kidding, just playing. Love the Terrace Marshall storyline, though. His shoulder, I don't love that, making him questionable week 12. He's had a lot of weird injuries his first 2 years. I mean, this is year 2, so year 1 and this far through year 2. But he's been great the last several weeks. Let's see if they say something here. Topping 40 yards in 4 consecutive games. Given the struggles of the Carolina offense, no small feat. He's got like over 18 yards per catch or something like that. It's been really fun to watch what Terrace Marshall has been doing. And I'm not just saying that because I got him in our Dynasty League. But it's been fun to watch nonetheless. Steve Wilks named Sam Darnold the starting quarterback week 12 against the Broncos, excuse me. Wilks delivered the news personally to the Panthers quarterback room on Tuesday. This could be a 1-week thing with a quick hook for PJ Walker's return, or Darnold could take the opportunity and run with it. Denver's defense is not an easy matchup, so it's hard to see Darnold balling out, but we would have said the same thing about Walker before he beat the Buccaneers earlier this season. This probably is a good move for DJ Moore's fantasy status, as Baker Mayfield never seemed to be on the same page with Moore. Agreed. What up, 420? Yoann, it's great to see you. Great to be with you here. Adam jumping in. What do we think about Zamir White? We'll see about Josh Jacobs, right? He popped up on the injury reports here a little surprisingly, and Zamir White, we'd presume, would be benefiting from added workload should Josh Jacobs miss time. Right here. Where do you think Cam goes next year if you had to bet today, Austin? I mean, the Chargers, the Patriots come to mind just because they're always pulling in running backs. I think any word that we give today doesn't really hold a lot of weight. There's so many question marks. I mean, it's probably somewhere weird. It's sad to say, but I bet you Cam Akers really gets reduced. Like he's gonna start becoming a second string running back. He's gonna fade to a third string running back. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can come in and be a surprise, but it seems like there's still recovery questions. There's still interpersonal questions. I don't know. He's going to end up being like the new Marlon Mack that we're all going to get excited, and it's just not going to come to fruition. That's unfortunately what I see, and I really hope that I am wrong. All right, moving on from the Carolina Panthers to the Chicago Bears. Man, Justin Fields, what's going on? Atlanta, maybe. Be kind of fun to pair him with Tyler Algier and see what they can get out of each other. Some younger running backs over there. That makes sense. They're rotating a lot of guys out there too. I don't know if you'd rather have Caleb Huntley or Cam Akers next year, right? So let's see the most recent update on Justin Fields. Shoulder is making him questionable for Chicago's Week 12 game against the Jets. Matt Eberflus said that Fields would need to be cleared further by the medical staff to play. With 48 hours to go to get Fields better, it sounds like we've got an old-fashioned game day decision ahead of us. Season-long Fields drafters should have contingency plans in place for Sunday afternoon. If he does play, it's hard to believe Fields will run often enough to give us the pure QB1 value he's been offering of late. But we certainly can't tell you that we know for a fact that the Bears would tone his running down. We also heard Robert Saleh, the head coach for the Jets, say if Fields plays, we will hit him. Oof. I like the way they put it here. It's hard to believe Fields will run often enough to give us the pure QB1 value he's been offering of late. So I've got Fields in the Whisper Listener League. Am I going to start him? If he starts, I think I probably still will play Justin Fields, but I'd almost rather them sit him for a week and then get some positive reports on the other side. We will end up seeing here. Oh, let's see, Emmanuel. What's up? Sorry if I missed it, but did you already give the update on Dante Foreman? No, I haven't. That is... Oh, shit. Did we skip over this one? No, thank you. Here. Let's jump up in here. Did we get any more updates? Because he was just a surprise gone. No, I'm not seeing anything new on D'Onta Foreman. So stay tuned on D'Onta Foreman, Emmanuel. We're going to be back an hour and a half before kickoff Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. An hour and a half before kickoffs begin on Sunday morning. And so we'll have more news. And that's obviously going to be a burning question. A lot of people are curious about D'Onta Foreman. So we'll get more updates in on that one. So nothing new to share here yet, but we will have it coming up. No, we need the win, Jay. We're having an underdog moment. We're having a Cinderella story. We're climbing back. All right, what's up, Sabago? Flex, Greg Dortch, Robert Woods, or Corey Davis? Well, we got to pay attention to Greg Dortch. He may or may not play. Robert Woods would be behind Corey Davis for me. Corey Davis looks like he's going to be active. Mike White offers a little bit of a mystery box appeal. He's not afraid to let it fly. I think there's a little more upside baked into the Jets receivers than might meets the eye. I'd probably go Corey Davis, Robert Woods, Greg Dortch. If Greg Dortch is active, pay attention to the rest of the receivers there for Arizona. It'd be hard if Marquise Brown is active and we don't have a pitch count and DeAndre Hopkins is active. It'd be hard for me to get Greg Dortch in there for me as well. But a lot of dings and bruises and actually major injuries for the Cardinals receivers. So just keep paying attention to that. But I go Corey Davis, Robert Woods, and then Greg Dortch. All right. What's up, Calvin? I'm not. Johnny and Travis are this year. So pull in for them in the Scotty Fishbowl. Moving over to the Cincinnati Bengals. Chris Evans, running back, is good to go for Week 12's game against the Titans. He missed Weeks 9 through 11 with the injury. Joe Mixon is out with a concussion. Evans could split snaps with Samaje Perine. He's not a must-add due to the short window, but he could be an interesting pickup. If you're in the need of a running back, it could go worse. I picked up Samaje Perine during my bye week hell last week, and that was nice. Jamar Chase is questionable Week 12. Zach Taylor seemed pleased with Chase's practice participation as he prepares to return from a 3-week hip injury. Pass funnel Titans defense. Chase should have plenty of fantasy upside if he returns to a full complement of routes. We just don't know if he is going to be on a pitch count. We don't know yet. It's a major issue, that hip injury, but they didn't put him on IR, so we'll see. Joe Mixon, as we said, he's going to be out this week with the concussion. And Chris Evans is back in. Moving on from the Cincinnati Bengals to the Cleveland Browns. We got some more action coming up. David Njoku, we mentioned this before. He is going to play. He's off the injury report entirely. As Kevin Stefanski said, Njoku was on a snap count last week. He was unsure if Njoku would see an increased role in Week 12. The freakishly athletic tight end caught just 2 balls for 17 yards last week. Harrison Bryant out-targeted him 7-3. Until his role returns to normal, Njoku will be stuck in the tight end 2 territory. We just don't yet know if Njoku is set for an increased workload or if he's going to be getting more of what he got last week. Pay attention to the updates coming and tune in 8:30 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday for the live lineup show where we'll have some more information on David Njoku. Harrison Bryant, I'm not recommending starting him, especially with Njoku coming back in. All right, moving on now from the Cleveland Browns to the Denver Broncos. Latavius Murray, who's got a wrist injury, keeping him on the injury report this week. He's off that injury report now, though. He's going to play Week 12. Kind of liking what Murray could be doing if he has a full workload. Melvin Gordon released. Murray has a higher floor for touches. He's the lead back over there, and the Broncos are still in it, as odd as it all is. KJ Hamler's not going to play Week 12. Jerry Jeudy is not going to play Week 12 either. This is good for Cortland Sutton. I don't know if I'd be getting excited beyond any pass catchers after Cortland Sutton. But I think I do like Cortland Sutton in this one. You guys feeling good about any other pass catchers in Denver? I'm not. Greg Dulcich is an interesting pick. 4 or 5 targets, just 30 yards, but he's doing good things. He brings an interesting profile to the mix. There should be added opportunities for the tight end. Oh, my Green Bay Packers. How are we doing? Packers? Romeo's going to be out again, still recovering from that ankle injury. Man, it's if we can get all of these receivers back, if we get Romeo back, if Christian Watson's healthy, if Cobb can be that safety blanket 4th option, if Aaron Jones is clicking, like we can do something here, Packers. But it just hasn't all come together here yet. Aaron Jones has been dealing with a shin and a glute injury. He was limited at Wednesday's practice. Played through the shin issue last week, but the glute is new. Still a limited session to open the week has been the norm for Jones, and he shouldn't be considered at risk of missing week 12. Maybe just temper your expectations a little bit. Love that they signed Geronimo Allison. He's back. Geronimo did some good things for a few weeks there years ago for the Packers. Not getting excited, of course, about him, though, in fantasy in 2022. Not seeing any news. I'm taking no news as good news. Christian Watson, I think, is becoming a legitimate piece for fantasy teams. Someone asked before about another player being a league winner. I'm not going to call Christian Watson a league winner, but another week of him balling out, and he might be on that. Yeah, I know. It looks like they did just sign Allison. That's what I just read, too. I know. All right, a couple of questions here before I jump into Houston. What's up, Yoann? What's up, 420? All right, got to sit one here in half-point PPR. We got Christian Kirk against Baltimore, Josh Palmer against Arizona, Christian Watson against Philadelphia. I think I'm going to sit Josh Palmer on this one. I like him, but I think Keenan Allen is back. I think he's actually recovered. I think Josh Palmer's going to have a good day too, though. But Christian Kirk is the number one. The Jaguars are coming off of a bye. Even if Baltimore schemes him well, I think Kirk's got a reasonable shot to have a good day. Christian Watson, man, no injury reports. The dude is a physical freak. He's gaining trust with Aaron Rodgers. They're winning. They've won a game because of Christian Watson, at least. I like Christian Watson to end up becoming the main vein in the passing attack before the end of the day. And that's kind of by design. Like Josh Palmer would have to fuck around and have a few things go outside of the plans for that to go down. So yeah, I think I'm gonna sit Josh Palmer on this one, but it's pretty close. It's not like hardcore on any of these ones. If you had a preference, or we get some updates between now and kickoff, consider that. Cortland Sutton or Jerick McKinnon for listener league purposes. I think after the Denver news of all of the down receivers, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, the running backs that are missing now, I think I like Cortland Sutton. He had a decent day last week, and I think Pacheco is the dude in Kansas City. But McKinnon's not bad, though. McKinnon's not bad. Why aren't you feeling the Watson love, man? Why? Like, they don't have anybody who's really competing in Green Bay for that number one role. They went out, traded up to get him in the top of the second round. He's a physical outlier. He's incredibly fast, very tall, very strong. He's already shown he can burn top corners. Aaron is building rapport with him. He can get it on end arounds. He's becoming a red zone target. He's a streak target. Like, I don't know. We'll see. And that broken thumb that Aaron Rodgers has had is weeks, like it's like almost 2 months old. It's going to come up. It's not sustainable. Like maybe his touchdown numbers, like he's got 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks. I don't think that's sustainable, but I think he has a 120-yard day, to go along with no touchdowns. And then you're like, oh, that's fine. So I think he's going to be able to balance it out. The fact that he's gotten so many touchdowns in such a short amount of time and he's as physically impressive as he is what makes me really excited about Christian Watson. Maybe I'm a little early on it. He is a bit of a raw prospect, but I'm excited about what he's seen. I'm not excited about his injury propensity, though. That's been a problem, and I hope he can just stay healthy and just put all of that physical talent to use. Moving over now to the Houston Texans, Davis Mills will not start week 12 against the Dolphins. Oh, shit. Houston will be helmed by Kyle Allen week 12. Mills has been a train wreck, tossing a league-leading 11 interceptions while also taking 28 sacks. Hoorah. And more as we see, sacks looks to be more of a quarterback stat than anything else. Houston hasn't won since week 5 and has peaked at 24 points in a game this year. Mills' biggest accomplishment has been putting his team in a position to secure a top 5 draft pick. Maybe that's what they want. That's before factoring in Cleveland's first round selection, which Houston also holds. Kyle Allen isn't likely to fare any better as the starter, but trotting out Mills for another week was too much for Smith and company to handle. Allen won't be a viable fantasy option versus Miami. It's an interesting thing about the rest of the pieces in Houston. So we know that we're going to get a different quarterback. I'm not seeing any news beyond him. So I'm Dameon Pierce for me would be the only other start. But we had a question earlier about Dameon Pierce or Isaiah Pacheco. I went Isaiah Pacheco. I'm fading Dameon Pierce. It still doesn't mean I'm benching him or anything like that. But some different experimentation seems to be going on in Houston. We might have gotten to that point in the season where teams are playing for different things. If he gets catches for 100 yards, I'll buy it. I mean, he's got catches for like over 50 yards. They're going to him in bomb play situations. In his 2-game strong stretch, he already has a game of over 100 yards. So we'll see. Endless Gravity. What's up? I love the name. I love the picture here too. I've been doing researching a lot of space-time stuff recently. So I like this one. Should I trade Eckler for Barkley and Waddle? My wide receivers are Kirk and Amon-Ra St. Brown. My flexes court are Christian Watson. My running backs are Eckler and Pierce. I'm 6-5. Let's see here. Should I trade Eckler for Barkley and Waddle? Yeah, I like this, dude. Yes. Eckler's kicking ass, and Barkley had not an awesome day last week, but I think the ceiling for Barkley and Eckler is the same. You could make a case for either of being higher. I think it's easier to make a case for Barkley having a higher ceiling than Eckler straight up. Waddle is a boss. Yes. I think Barkley might even, yeah. I like it. I love Waddle. I like Barkley. I like Eckler too, but I'm in on this, man. What's up, Ron? Tuning in on Facebook. Great to have you with us. Calvin Brown asks, non-PPR, Gibson, Palmer, Pacheco, or Akers? Pick one. We're not going to... I don't want to start Akers, right? Pick one? I think I'm going to go with Pacheco. Pacheco's gotten 15 carries or more last 2 weeks. He's been doing well with it. He's a rookie. I think he gets more and more acclimated. I think he takes a bigger chunk of the work moving forward. Yeah, I like Pacheco on this one, then probably Gibson and Palmer, then Akers. Yeah. Drop Russ for Matt Ryan. Superflex. So close. I think I'd probably rather have Russell Wilson ahead of Matt Ryan. I did get bit a little on Matt Ryan last week, but that was a stupid start on my part going against the Eagles. I was just really vibing with the Jeff Saturday energy, and I overcommitted, and I paid the price. Russell Wilson's weird, but and the weapons suck. I don't know, man. It's actually pretty close. I think the logic and the conventional conversation would be pointing to Russ, but I'm really not surprised if Matt Ryan rest of season does actually outperform Russell Wilson, but it's pretty close. Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. That's nice. All right, moving on here to the Indianapolis Colts, the aforementioned ones. Kyle Granson was held to 1 catch for 16 yards. This is old news. We don't got any new news on this one, so we're going to move on from the Colts. No news is good news. Jacksonville Jaguars been coming off of the bye. Head coach Doug Peterson said newly acquired running back Darrell Henderson won't play week 12 against the Ravens. Doug Peterson apparently loves Henderson's physicality and downhill running style. We'll see about how this impacts ETN and the bunch the rest of the season, but week 12, it's not looking to have an impact at all. And that is all of the impactful news we have out of Jacksonville. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kadarius Toney had a fun game of action a couple weeks back, but then he got hurt, and he's still hurt, and that hamstring injury is keeping him out of action week 12. He's already been ruled out. Juju Smith-Schuster will play week 12. He had that brutal hit in week 10, sidelined him for the Chiefs' next game. He returned to practice, though, this week with a full session on Wednesday. That's looking really, really good for his chances. And with Kadarius Toney out, with Mecole Hardman on the IR, with CEH out, like Juju Smith-Schuster's in a great spot. I like him as a wide receiver too this week. You called the Toney bust. He's injured though, and he actually had a good game. So he's been injury prone, and that's manifested itself. But he also was his game in Kansas City the best game of his career? I mean, it was certainly top 3. I know he hasn't had a lot of chances to shine because he's either been benched or been hurt, but I don't know. Kadarius Toney's a funny one. All right. And that's all of the news we are really taking a look. Oh, this is impactful. Jerick McKinnon, hamstring shoulder issues, keeping him limited at Wednesday's practice. Played through both of the injuries week 10 and 11, so he should have no problem taking the field on Sunday. But with CEH on injured reserve and Pacheco doing well with the added workload, I think it makes sense to have McKinnon's workload steadily decreased a little bit. I'm more vibing Pacheco moving forward than I am Jerick McKinnon. But Jerick McKinnon is certainly still should be rostered, especially in deeper leagues right now, because he's a good player playing on a good team. Take a look looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, where stud running back Josh Jacobs, his ankle popping up, making him questionable week 12 against the Seahawks. Surprisingly, Jacobs was added to the injury report with an ankle issue today, Friday. He got in a limited practice before being listed as questionable. This could be nothing, but fantasy managers should continue to monitor the situation until Sunday. The Raiders play in the second window of games, so emergency replacement for Josh Jacobs would be scarce. That sucks. Zamir White, though, should be available in most leagues. I hope he is in yours if you're Josh Jacobs roster and you can afford the insurance, because that would be the predicted beneficiary if Josh Jacobs is missing time. That's all the news we got out of the Raiders camp. Ooh, the Los Angeles Rams. What a weird fucking team this year. Allen Robinson has got an ankle injury. It's keeping him questionable week 12 against the Chiefs. He got a limited practices in throughout this week. He looks to be trending towards playing against the Chiefs. No Matt Stafford, though. It's going to be hard to recommend Allen Robinson as more than a low-end DFS flyer or wide receiver 4. I agree with that take. We got Tyler Higbee's knee keeping him questionable. He did return to practice yesterday. Assuming we get a similar report, probably on the optimistic side. I like him. I don't love him. Brees Perkins is going to be getting the start. Not a recommended play outside of like super flex deep leagues. There we go, though. His neck, man. Matt Stafford had his elbow and his hand and now his neck. Ugh, this is not looking optimistic rest of season for Matt Stafford, and then the pass catchers, and then this entire team. Good thing the Rams won a Super Bowl just last year, because I don't think they're going to be winning a Super Bowl this year. Miami Dolphins, though, this is a fun team that might have a chance at it. Well, this is loading up. Jersey Jay, what's the question? Starts Zamir White over Carter or Olave if Jacobs is out? Carter has a great match. This is an interesting question. I don't think so, man. I think I'm still rocking Carter or Olave, and the reason is Zamir White would be elevated to the position Michael Carter just holds. Like James Robinson is there. You never know what other running back is going to get rolled out when the team has to deploy a contingency plan. Like it's usually not a 1-for-1. Like Zamir White could come in and like just get 20 plus touches or whatever, but he also might not. They might divide it up. It might be more of a committee breakdown. So if you've got Carter, I think that's nice. And Olave is locked into me. He's almost matchup proof for me at this point. Good question, though. Let's see about the Dolphins. Teddy Bridgewater's questionable. That's a non-factor for your fantasy team. Raheem Mostert's knee is keeping him doubtful from week 12 against the Texans. This will be a Jeff Wilson show in Miami. You hear that, Jersey Jay? Jeff Wilson. He's going to come in. It's going to be his day. It's going to help me beat you. Keep my hopes alive for a 7-7 finish and soar in to the playoffs and the Whisper Listener League. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, probably steer away from Raheem Mostert. Just tune in an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday. That's 8:30 a.m. Pacific time to get all of the news and notes, and we'll get more lineup questions. Jeff Wilson played on 61% of snaps in the Dolphins' Week 10 win over the Browns. We're going back, but it's just fun to read. Wilson totaled 143 scrimmage yards. Yeah, helped me win that week. But I digress. Let's move on. From the Miami Dolphins to the New Orleans Saints. Ronald here. Jersey's lost like 4 in a row, and Austin's been beast mode. It's been a good run. We've been on a good run. Had 2 weeks of point leader in a 16-team league. It's not easy to do, but we want to keep it going. And I've had like 2 losses in that league by like less than a point. Really close losses. Really, we'll see. Could be the Gaskin show, Jersey says. Fuck, I hope not. That'd be horrible. You never know, though. That's why we play the game. Let's see how the New Orleans Saints will be playing their game. Mark Ingram might get some action. He's questionable. Ingram, as apparently every Saints player with an injury this week came back with 3 limited sessions this week. He's probably coming back. You're not starting him. I'm not even handcuffing him in leagues where I'm rostering Alvin Kamara. Jarvis Landry was limited in Wednesday's practice. Early season knee injury. He returned. He was good week 1. Had 6 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown his last 2 games back. Not bad. Not good enough to recommend him, though. Chris Olave is the only recommended pass catcher. Let's see what they say about Taysom Hill here. New Orleans.football's Nick Underhill reports Saints coach realized they were underutilizing Taysom Hill's unicorn skill set before week 11. Hill saw his most extensive playing time in a month in the team's week 11 win against the Rams. He rotated snaps with Andy Dalton on the team's first drive and finished the game with 9 rushes, 52 yards. He also completed 1 of 3 passes for 14 yards against LA. Saints head coach Dennis Allen complimented offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael for getting Hill more involved and keeping the Rams defense off balance. The plan going in was to get Taysom involved. Allen said Hill has only seen fantasy viable usage when the Saints see plenty of neutral and positive game script against the 49ers in week 12. The Saints aren't likely to play from ahead and have the luxury of developing an expanded Taysom package. I agree with most of that, actually. I think Taysom Hill is a pretty exciting high ceiling play. Like, he's got as low a floor as any tight end does. Like, it's not really hurting you. I think Taysom Hill is a good start most weeks just because of how weird a role he has on the team and how unique a skill set they seem to bring out of him. So, like, I think Taysom Hill is an awesome start almost every week. I also had that rib injury we didn't really talk that much about. So that's getting better and better every week. We already talked about Jarvis Landry. Juwan Johnson, man, he's been a surprise. It's been fun. But no new news from Juwan Johnson other than he's been cool. Giants played yesterday, so we're moving on to the Jets. All right, well, that's loading up. What's up, Kyrie Condones? Welcome to TFW Live. Do I accept this trade? He wants T. Higgins, and he'll give me Mike Evans. I don't hate it, honestly, man. Like, you could do worse. But let me see one thing here. Like, what I like about this is Mike Evans, and I just want to make sure there's no news on Mike Evans that I'm not unaware of or something. You know, yeah, I personally, I think I would, man. I like Mike Evans as the wide receiver 1 for the Bucs. He's kind of the main vein through the passing attack. He's overall healthy right now. I like the offense of the Bengals when it's clicking, presumably more than the Buccaneers, but that's not what we got. Jamar Chase is also, we hope, on the up and up, which would mean T. Higgins is the number 2. Sometimes he does better than Jamar Chase, and that's nice, but like he's going to be the second option behind Jamar Chase, is where Mike Evans is the number 1 option, and he's got great rapport with Brady. I think I would rather have Mike Evans over T. Higgins. Lateral move. Yeah, I do agree that this is like essentially a lateral move. It's really close. For me, I give Mike Evans just a little bit of a nod because he's kind of the only guy in the Bucs offense who can do what he does. And like Brady's pissed off and weird stuff. This isn't untrue also. It's close. If you're feeling it, I say go for it. If you like Higgins, it's really close. I agree with Jersey J that it is a near lateral move. I just see a couple of logic points suggesting Mike Evans has the better situation now and rest of season. But moving back now to our news and notes, we're with the New York Football Jets. Corey Davis is going to be active for week 12. Glad to see that with Mike F. and White coming in behind center. We'll get that here in a second. Got a full practice in Corey Davis did. That's good. They're calling Zach Wilson struggles the yips. Just forgot how to play. Just get that. Just gone. Whatever we want to call it, he's not going to be starting for the Jets week 12. Zach Wilson, that is. Seeing if we get any new news here. Mike White, he's going to get the start week 12 against the Bears. Joe Flacco will serve as White's backup. I like this. I think Joe Flacco did all right, but Mike White has shown some flashes. He's young. If I'm the Jets, I'm looking to see what this younger signal caller could bring to the table in this 2022-2023 Jets offense. Zach Wilson has officially been benched after his atrocious Week 11 showing against the Patriots in a 10-3 loss. Head coach Robert Saleh conceded there might be some irritation over Wilson's refusal to take responsibility for the loss. Makes sense to me, man. Makes sense to me. Not getting it done on the field, then not taking responsibility for it. Like, just take responsibility for everything. Zach Wilson, like, do you take responsibility? I should have gotten the team's tempo during our practice week better, and I didn't. So come on now. Yeah, I think that was horrendous by Zach Wilson. That was really disappointing. No news beyond those reports out of the Jets camp. So we'll move on now to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see some of these questions here while this is popping up. ML, welcome in. Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel rest of season PPR redraft. I think I got to go Deebo Samuel still. He's just so fucking good. Like, Ayuk is good. Deebo is great. Ayuk, I don't see Ayuk being elite. And I've got Ayuk in Dynasty. I've got Ayuk in my league of record. Like, I love Brandon Ayuk. I don't see Brandon Ayuk being elite this year. Deebo Samuel is coming in this year being elite. He's given us elite performances. He just had this hammy injury like for the last several weeks. And honestly, the fact that Deebo Samuel has done as well as he's done despite battling this lingering injury is a testament, in my opinion, to how fucking good Deebo Samuel really is. But the injury is there, and Brandon Ayuk seems to be fully healthy. So rest of season, I'm still going to lean on Deebo. But I got to say, the fact that they're playing Deebo Samuel all the time and not letting him really get right does concern me. We had Evan Porras on the show during the offseason, physical therapist who does a doctor of physical therapy, does a lot of work with these types of injuries. And he was saying hamstrings just need time to heal. And if you give it the time, your re-aggravation rate diminishes every week that you give it time to heal. But if you don't let it recover, re-aggravation rate stays up. So I'm kind of concerned by the rate of usage they continually deploy for Deebo. I mean, I don't even know if they need to. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, maybe if they didn't need to and they're still doing it, it means because they feel okay about it. Yeah. I think I still go Deebo rest of season. But it is pretty close. Let's see a follow-up on this. Thanks for the feedback on the Ayuk Debo question. Hypothetical. If Debo was out for the year, where would you rank Ayuk among wide receivers? Low end wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2, mid wide receiver 2. Yeah. If I'm honest, I'd probably go mid range. It's a wide receiver 2, mid to high with upside. He's never going to be the main vein of the team. Like George Kittle and CMC are good. Brandon Ayuk is also good. This just elevates the entire offense. But Ayuk, I don't see becoming a main vein on this team, and that's what you really need to crack into the wide receiver 1 status. Now, he could get you 2 touchdowns any week. He can make a big play happen any play, which keeps him in the high-end conversation. But because of those other pass catchers on the 49ers team, because of how Garoppolo likes to play the quarterbacking position, because of how Kyle Shanahan likes to run his run-heavy one-cut offenses, it's hard for me to bump him above like a solid wide receiver 2 for me on this. Great question. Let's see here. All right, we're jumping back into the Philadelphia Eagles. AJ Brown, he's been dealing with an illness. Practice on Friday. He missed Thanksgiving's practice with an illness, but should be able to go. All right. Stay tuned on this one, though. It seems like there's some things going on with AJ Brown. They're just not being totally forthright with, but not enough yet to be concerning. Everybody's dealing with shit. It's the NFL. And we're past the mid-century mark, midpoint. Tyree Jackson wasn't targeted week 11. He shouldn't be targeted in fantasy leagues. And no other news out of Eagles camp. No news is good news. Don't need any more of those surprising DNPs. Am I right, Deontay Foreman? Am I right? Demarcus Robinson? Yeah. Jersey J coming in here talking about Calvin's question, saying Fields won't run. Calvin said Seattle D versus Las Vegas or New York Giants D versus Chicago. And does Fields not playing make the biggest difference? You know, like Robert Saleh, the head coach for the Jets, said if Fields plays, they're going to hit him. And if Fields is in, I agree with the blurb they wrote. NBC Sports Edge wrote about Fields in that it's hard to trust him as the QB1 he's been as of late, because this injury is one where more trauma on top of it is actually going to move you in the wrong direction. So I expect a diminished workload, a diminished ceiling from Fields, but that's not the question here. Seattle D versus Las Vegas or the Giants D versus Chicago. I think the Jets have got a stellar D straight up. I would lean on the Jets D on this one ahead of the Seattle D versus Las Vegas. Seattle's D has been good. I think we're all still waiting and seeing how legit Seattle is. I got a lot of bets on them. I hope they're working out, but I think we're still holding our breath. It's not a bad matchup, but I like the Jets D against the Chicago offense, even if Fields is in on this one. Good question. All right. Over to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where backup running back Jaylen Warren is questionable for week 12 with a hamstring injury. Warren did not practice on Friday. Tomlin noted this injury was not significant, but it does sound like Najee Harris will have a full control of the backfield this week. Benny Snell is Pittsburgh's number 3. Could get some carries, but shouldn't get consideration fantasy-wise. Deontay Johnson had a disappointing day, 4 or 5 targets for 21 yards. I was considering dropping Deontay Johnson or Cortland Sutton in a friends league, and I dropped Deontay Johnson ahead of Cortland Sutton, and I'm feeling happy about that. No other news out of Pittsburgh's camp. We're moving over to the San Francisco 49ers. I think I got all the questions here covered. Has anybody got an undefeated team anywhere? I've got 1-11-0 in a free ESPN league. Nice. It's so hard to go undefeated. It's just like 1 week, something shit is going to happen. Even if you got to pick your entire lineup every week, I'm going to give me Josh Allen at quarterback. Give me Derrick Henry and, Austin Eckler at running back. Like, pick your whole lineup. And it still doesn't all work out. It's so hard to get all of the outlier performances to go down, both on your good side and your opponent missing breaks as well. And they all line up in your direction. I don't have any 11-0s in any leagues that I am in. Jersey J here is 11-0 in his 4K league. Very nice. Can be pulling for you in that one. All right, here, moving on to the 49ers here. We talked a little bit about him already, but Deebo Samuel's hamstring is making him questionable. Samuel practiced 3 times this week, mostly limited. Some 49ers believed he'd be taken off the injury report entirely today. Doesn't sound like that's totally happened yet, though, so we got to sit tight. Sounds like he's probably going to play, but limited a little bit, or at least not as sharp. Trey Lance is on schedule. That's cool. Not going to be anything for you this year, but we hope to see good things in the future. All Ben Deebo Samuel talk. No news beyond updates or recaps from their Cardinals showing last week. So we will move on now from the 49ers over to the Seattle Seahawks, who are coming off of the bye. Let's see what we got here. Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver for the Seahawks. He's got a broken hand. He's going to the IR. Sad for the Seahawks. Not too impacting for fantasy teams. And it's all Dwayne Eskridge reports. So that's good. We got no surprise DNPs, no surprise hip dislocations out of Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf didn't slip on the turkey and break his ass bone over the holiday. All of these are good things. Geno Smith seems to be on track. Good stuff. Moving over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. George J, can I answer your trade question? Of course I can answer your trade question. If I get rid of Swift and Olave, ooh, fun. And you're targeting a running back, who should I go after? I need at least a back end RB1 on this. Because Swift has still got upside, and I would hope you can sell him with still some upside and appeal and be like, hey, look, he's been injured. They're working him back in. He'll get more work down the stretch. And then Olave is like legit good. He's the main vein in the passing attack. He's got consistency with whoever's throwing the ball. And I like that. So if I'm looking for a running back that you're getting, I need at least, I'm trying to think of like, obviously if you get like a Nick Chubb or something like that, that would be really good. That still might be a little bit too expensive because you're not going to get an elite guy. You just don't get rid of him. I'd be looking for a back end RB1 though. That's who I would be considering. Throw me some names if you got some that you're thinking about on this one. ML, where would I rank Amari Cooper for rest of season? Some tiers before high, mid, low 1, high, mid, low 2. Yep. Let me see really quickly here where. I'm going to take a look at a couple of stats on Mr. Amari Cooper. Before I give you my take, ML. Yeah, I feel pretty good about Amari Cooper. He's currently the wide receiver 11 in PPR and number 9 in standard. This is good, healthy amount of targets, but it has been inconsistent. I've got Amari Cooper as a back end wide receiver 1, certainly a high end wide receiver 2 with upside. We'll see how the quarterback change with Deshaun Watson taking over. We assume this will benefit him. But I'm just not sold on it immediately. But I think a back end wide receiver 1 for Amari Cooper. That's where he's at rank wise. We got no concerns about Amari Cooper with Jacoby at quarterback. And if the Deshaun Watson experiment doesn't work out, like they can just go back to Jacoby Brissett. So I like him as a back end wide receiver 1. Yeah. Kind of a funny one, though, because he's been a little bit up and down. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at some of his games, 12 targets, 8 catches, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week. You love that. But the week before, 3 catches on 3 targets for 32 yards. And then 5 catches for 131 yards the week before that. And then 3 catches, 74 yards. It's like he hasn't gotten double-digit catches all year. But he's gotten over 100 yards in 1, 2, 3, 4 games, and he's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns already. Yeah. Amari Cooper's kind of an interesting play. Back end wide receiver 1. And there's a lot of difference between a back end wide receiver 1 and a mid-level wide receiver 1 and an elite wide receiver 1. So just keep that in mind. Kind of an exponential growth trajectory there. All right. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette, his hip is making him doubtful for Tampa's Week 12 game. Fire up your Rashad Whites. That's pretty exciting. I think even if Leonard Fournette is technically active, we're going to see lower and lower opportunity shares. Officially, though, Todd Bowles said the Bucs would wait and see on Fournette, but this listing sounds like they didn't like a lot of what they saw in Friday's practice. So that's the big news there. Russell Gage is not going to play Week 12 against the Browns. I was hoping for so much from you, Russell Gage, this year. Never came through. And it looks like that's all of the major news we have. Giovanni Bernard is going to return from the injured reserve. He's designated to. That could get factored in. So temper some Rashad White expectations. But I don't think, not by a lot. Let's get real here. And that looks to be all of the major news impacting fantasy purposes out of the Buccaneers offense. So just a couple left here now, moving on to the Tennessee Titans next. Some questions here. Jersey J. Let's see what we got here. Like Pierce. Okay. If you could get Kenneth Walker or Stevenson. Yes. Kenneth Walker for me, then Ramondre Stevenson, then Dameon Pierce on that. Dameon Pierce might be a little too low. Like, I don't know. Who would you rather have, Dameon Pierce or DeAndre Swift on this? Like, Jamal Williams is threatening everything DeAndre Swift brings to the table, but like Pierce had a bad week last week, and this whole offense is shifting into a different mode right now, which could benefit Pierce. It could also hurt him. A couple of schools of thought on that. Kenneth Walker, Stevenson, hell yeah. I would trade Swift and Olave for either one of those guys. I'd feel good about it. Kenneth Walker for sure. Stevenson probably, especially with the Damian Harris news. You'd keep your fingers crossed that Ramondre Stevenson would hold the lion's share of the work the rest of season. It probably will happen that way, but it's still too soon to call it. Damian Harris is a tough motherfucker. You know what I mean? James Conner, I don't think so. Jeff Wilson now. Like, I like him, but I think you're giving up too much. I think Swift and Olave is too much for either of these. And I'd rather have DeAndre Swift over James Conner, as is. Maybe not Jeff Wilson, as weird as that is, but not James Conner for me. I'm not in love with what I expect him rest of season. Joe Mixon would be nice. Now that's actually a pretty good one. Maybe you get somebody who's just bummed about him missing next week and Mixon going down last week, and maybe they're concerned about P. Ryan becoming a factor. Yeah, Joe Mixon would be another good one. ML, Tampa Bay has a great playoff schedule for wide receivers, arguably the easiest. If Mike Evans or Godwin go down, where would Julio rank among wide receivers if he's operating as number 2 in Tampa Bay? Not super high. He would need to have full health, and I would need to see the Bucs being in a contending position and Tom Brady not concerning us. If all of those things did happen, I got him as a strong wide receiver 3. He's a good flex. Maybe he can jump into the wide receiver 2 camp, but it's a big maybe for me. Big stretch. You are very welcome, Jersey J. Love all the questions. Thanks for bringing them to the show. Austin Hooper with the Tennessee Titans caught all 4 of his targets for 36 yards and a couple of touchdowns. That was from over a week ago, which means we got no new news out of the Tennessee Titans room, which is a good thing for your Derrick Henrys, for your Treylon Burkses. Treylon Burks going to be a league winner rest of season? I don't know, but I think he's going to be a viable piece for you. And our last squad of the day, the Washington Commanders, tight end Logan Thomas. He's got a rib issue, but he should be available week 12. Missed some practice time this week with a rib injury and an illness, and he missed most of the season with a lot of injuries and recoveries. Like that, Atlanta is allowing the 3rd most tight end receptions this season. It's tough to trust Logan Thomas. He'd be like a nice grab bag tight end for me. You know, there's a lot of them on your waiver wire that you could be picking between. Logan Thomas or Tyler Conklin or, pick one of these guys. Commanders designated Carson Wentz to return from reserve. I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year, though. Either way. And that is all of the news that we've got from around the NFL. Got all the way through it. Thanks for hanging in there with me and all of the questions, Whisper Nation. Let's see if I missed any questions and throw any other ones you had, Whisper Nation, my way before we wrap up today's show. Drop Cordell Patterson for Treylon Burks. It's tough for me to do that, man. Cordell Patterson is got league winning upside. I don't know if Burks totally brings that to the table. I like that Burks is healthy. Patterson's always hurt. But if all things are equal, I'm taking Patterson over Burks for me. I'd probably consider dropping Moreau for Burks on this. I think Burks just brings real upside. Moreau has kind of been your contingency plan. Like there's other tight ends probably on the waiver wire that are just as good as Moreau. Burks might find like Burks was by a lot of sharp minds the best wide receiver prospect this year. There's a lot of good wide receivers this year. Olave, Garrett Wilson, people like Sky Moore, all kinds of shit, but Drake London. But, Burks was up there also. And he showed us a little of why he had such strong considerations in his last match. And there's not a ton of competition. So I like Burks' his ceiling most of the year. If you can afford to wait on Patterson, I would, but I think he's okay. I think he's okay to start. But if you got someone better, you should wait and see. I would be interested in that. So I think I got all of the questions as we were moving on, as the new teams were loading up. But I'm just going to do a quick scan here. And if I didn't get a question, throw it my way now, and I'll get that before we close down here. It could be the Gaskin show in Miami. Oh, God, I'd hate that. All right. We got Endless Gravity's question. Scrolling all the way back up to the top. Do I like Damian Pierce Pacheco? We got to that one. Geno Smith or Kyler Murray this week. Oh, let's see here. Didn't get this one. DJ Nightmare 14. I traded away Fields for Jamar and Watson. Is telling me it made a bad trade. Some YouTubers too. Am I on crazy belt? You traded away Justin Fields for Jamar Chase. And is that Christian Watson or Deshaun Watson? I don't even care. I like this. I like you getting rid of Fields and picking up Jamar Chase and Watson, just Deshaun Watson, or even Christian Watson. I think that's fine given how good Jamar is. No, I think this is okay. Good question. Thanks for joining in. Adam Weber, welcome Jimmy G or Mike White this week. I'm going to go Jimmy G. I like all the weapons that Jimmy Garoppolo has to throw to. Mike White, we saw him last year, has some fun fucking games, like over 300 yards, and he's got some pizzazz to him. But I got to go with Jimmy G coming off of that 4-touchdown performance. But it'll be fun to see if Mike White has a good day. I hope he does. What do I think about Zamir White this week? I think he is an okay flex play if Josh Jacobs is out, but be careful expecting a 1-for-1 replacement. You know what I mean? Like will probably be a little bit more of a committee approach if Jacobs is out, but I would like Zamir White to inherit the majority of the work. Jersey J saying the only player to start in the Jets is Carter. I think that's probably right. I think Garrett Wilson might. If you had to start one other one, I'm going Garrett Wilson. He's been the best wide receiver for the Jets, and Mike White has shown an enjoyment of slinging the rock, but you got to kind of wait and see. I agree. Carter would be the only player I'd recommend starting this week, and he'd be at like a flex level for me. All right. I think we got to all of the questions here. Yep, we got 420's questions. We got Calvin's questions. Got Jersey J and my conversation on Christian Watson. Ooh, let's see here. All right, let's see now the next questions. All right. Jersey J with a couple of new points. You're the best, Jersey J. Love you and everybody else here in Whisper Nation. Let's see. You got Rachaad White and Carter. That's cool. So not starting Cordell Patterson over Rachaad White or Carter, correct? I would. Yeah, I think I like this, man. I like Rachaad White. If Leonard Fournette is out, I really like the Rachaad White start. He's shown us good work already, and he just needs the opportunity. He should be in line for that. Let me just check one thing on Patterson. Patterson's hard to trust, but his upside is so juicy. You know? And Michael Carter. Michael Carter hasn't been awesome. Like, it logically lines up, but 8 carries for 19 yards. It was kind of a sad game, but still. You know, Rachaad White for sure. It's between Patterson and Carter. Sitting with this a little bit longer. I'm starting to lean a little bit on the Patterson side unless we get any news coming out about it. I'd be sitting on this one thinking about it until Sunday. I would probably have Patterson in my lineup ahead of Carter. And then keep an eye out for any news before kickoff on Sunday. Close. All right. Well, that looks to be it. It has been an amazing evening with you, Whisper Nation. Jersey J, ML, Kyrie Condonis, Riders Chambers, Professor Ron. So many good people coming in the chat. Calvin Brown, Do It 420, aka Johan Berg. We had Emmanuel Lucero in the chat. We had Adam Weber coming in. We had DJ Nightmare 14 rolling through. We had Albert Mariquin coming in. We had Flea Bit Peanut Monkey even coming in. Sorry, Travis isn't here. He's catching up. He'll be back with you on Sunday. So make sure you're liked and subscribe to catch all that juicy action. George from Rhode Island. What's good, George? This was fun. Love having you there. Sorry for not grabbing you on this one earlier. Thanks for coming in here, though. Cute dog. Albert, Riders, Lady V. It's been an honor to get to chop it up with all of you here on this Friday evening. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. On behalf of everybody who makes Fantasy Whispers, the Fantasy Whispers, Donnie Tubbs, Big Travie, Johnny Game Time Hicks, and you, Whisper Nation, on behalf of all of us, we are the Fantasy Whispers, and we will see you on Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Catch you later. Bye.
Right here.
Look at you go. You made it to the end of another one of our videos.
Hey, if you still have some questions, I totally understand. Or you just want to join an awesome fantasy football community, head on over to our Discord chat. Link is in the description below. And if you're still not sold on us, check out one of these videos.
Bonus time. I did see some questions here coming at the end, so I didn't hit the end broadcast here. ML asks, how concerned about Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is nagging injuries, and Jameson Williams coming back? I'm not concerned. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he has overcome those injuries. They went to him in pivotal situations. He helped capitalize for the team, doing work for fantasy teams, doing work for the Lions. And Jameson Williams coming back for me is just good for the Lions offense. I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff's relationship goes anywhere. Targets are earned. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is really good. What I kind of see out of this Lions passing attack moving forward is a bit of the Chargers in the Keenan Allen, Big Mike Williams dynamic, with the Keenan Allen role served by Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Jameson Williams taking on that Big Mike Williams role there. That's how I see it working. I don't think we see Amon-Ra St. Brown getting all of his shit taken away. I think he's proven he is just that dude. Cyan asks, do I trade Jonathan Taylor and Justin Herbert's for Dalvin Cook and Jalen Hurts? Oof, I am probably not going to do this. I think Justin Herbert's on the up. If I'm the person acquiring Justin Herbert, I'm excited. I'll tell you why. I'm like, whoever has drafted Justin Herbert in the 4th or 5th round is sitting through a really shitty first 11 weeks where he's had his lead receivers out. There's been question marks. He had that rib cartilage injury. And now it's like Keenan Allen's healthy. It seems like Justin Herbert is about as healthy as he's been all season, like the most he's been all season. So he gets an up. I love Jalen Hurts. This is really good. And Dalvin Cook had a bad game this week, but he will be better moving forward. But Jonathan Taylor is kicking ass. He might be the best running back in the NFL. So I don't think you do. I would hold JT and Justin Herbert. It's close though. It's not like a bad deal or something. But I would rather have the JT and Justin Herbert side on this. All right. And Herbert time. It's gonna be a league winner. I like the narrative. Be pulling for it. Wouldn't mind having Justin Herbert on some of my teams where I didn't have Jalen Hurts or someone at that level like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or something like that. Well, that's it. Thanks, Lady V. Love you and everybody else here. I'm going to avoid the send-off music because we already did it. I'm just going to say have a great Thanksgiving week. We love you. Out of here. Bye.